Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill. For my September 17th garden column, I wrote all about growing microgreens. This is something I did last winter and it was so easy and so successful that I wanted to make sure you knew how to grow them too. Now you can find a link to my column on my blog, which is located at susansinthegarden.com. Now, are you familiar with microgreens? This is something where you plant seeds very thickly and you harvest these little seedlings when they just have a couple of true leaves. Now they are absolutely packed with nutrition. Research has shown that microgreens contain anywhere from 4 to 40 times the nutrients of their mature counterparts, and I think that's amazing. They are so easy to grow, so let me show you how. Let's look at the type of equipment you need in order to grow microgreens. First and foremost, you need some type of a container that has drainage holes in the bottom so that the soil can drain well. Now, you can use full, regular size seedling flats and those work beautifully. Last winter, I found some half flats and those were really nice because I'm just growing microgreens for the two of us. Now you also need either a clear plastic dome to cover the seedling flat, or you can certainly use a clear plastic bag. And the purpose of either the dome lid or the plastic bag is to increase humidity so that the seeds will sprout. The next thing you need, I've got this bag here, this is organic potting soil. You can use that, or you can use a seed starting mix, which is also called a germination mix. You don't want to use regular garden soil because that can be a problem. It's really important to start with a sterile potting mix or germination mix. Certainly the most important thing you need for growing microgreens is seeds, right? And if you can go with organic seeds, so much the better. Now, I had heard good things about the sproutpeople.org website, and so I checked them out. They have lots of good bulk buys and all types of microgreen seeds. So I ended up getting beet seeds and a mix of brassicas, which are cabbage family crops, and they are delicious. And I also went with some pea seeds because pea microgreens are to die for. Now you can also find them at large well-stocked garden centers, so be sure to check them out and see what kind of seeds they have available. And also in my garden column, I wrote a list of different types of online sources for microgreen seeds. So you have lots of options for finding them. Now I'm going to show you how to plant microgreen seeds. And don't blink because it's so quick and easy, you're going to miss it if you do. Moisten your potting soil so that it has the same amount of moisture in it like you'd feel in a wrung out sponge. Fill your container with about 2 inches of either your organic potting soil or the germination mix. Even it up and then press down on the soil just to compact it a little bit. Sprinkle your seeds on thickly, and I mean very thickly. This is something that was hard for me to learn last winter because we gardeners are so used to doing proper spacing of seeds. But you really want them thick, and I'm going to do a close-up here so you can see just how many seeds are on the top of this germination mix. Now you see what I mean by thickly. There are a ton of seeds on there, but it really works well and you're going to get a very nice stand of little seedlings to harvest later. Once you have sprinkled your seeds onto the soil, what I like to do is just to press them with my hand into it to make good contact. And then after that, I like to water them a little bit because this is their last watering before they sprout. Now, something I learned last winter is that you really don't need to cover most types of microgreen seeds. Generally speaking, they do just fine. The exception to the rule was the pea seeds. They seemed to do better when they were covered by about a 1/4 inch or so of additional soil. So just remember that as you're planting. I'm trying to save on my germination mix or organic potting soil, and so that's why I'm using as little as possible. The next step is to cover the flat with the dome lid or use a plastic bag, and that will again increase humidity so that the seeds will sprout. Put this flat into either a sunny windowsill or under a grow light. Both will work well. Once the majority of the seeds have sprouted, you want to go ahead and remove the dome lid. And keep the soil lightly moist as needed. You don't want it sopping wet, but just lightly moist. Now I wanted to give you a heads up about something that I saw last year and freaked out because I was a newbie. And that was, I saw what I thought was a bunch of white fungus developing on the surface of the soil. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got serious problems, and they didn't tell me about this. But actually, when I looked at it closely, I realized it was just a bunch of tiny root hairs because the seeds are not covered with soil most of the time. And so I was seeing all these things that normally are under the surface of the soil, right? So if you see that, don't freak out. Now these seeds will tend to germinate in about 2 to 3 days, which I think is pretty darn fast. I planted this flat a week ago, just for you, although we get to benefit from them. And you can see that they are very thickly planted. They are growing beautifully, and we could harvest them right now, or we could wait a few days until they have some true leaves. And they will be absolutely delicious. Now there's one thing that I wanted to let you know about. If you're growing sunflower microgreens, the exception to the rule is that you harvest them before they develop true leaves. That's because the leaves are hairy and they can be bitter, and you don't want an unpleasant experience, right? Now when you harvest your microgreens, no matter what kind they are, you're just going to cut them off right above the surface of the soil, and I like to gently toss mine in a salad spinner just to clean them up, but not to hurt them too much because they're very delicate. And then you can store them in the refrigerator in a bag and eat them as you want. They're just wonderful. Now wasn't that simple? One last thing I wanted to mention is that I like to try to have the timing right so that as we're running out of microgreens from one flat, the next flat is just about ready to pick. So you might want to try that out. It takes a little bit of experimentation, but you'll quickly get it. I do hope that you'll try out growing microgreens this fall and winter because you will not need to buy any salad greens at all. They are absolutely wonderful, and it's so easy to grow them. Happy gardening!